Bringing you breaking images from Ankara and Turkey. This is the scene live ahead of the ongoing NATO summit that is taking place in Turkey. You can see there the Turkish flag and the stars and stripes of the American flag. In the foreground, stood with his back to the camera, is the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. You can hear there the shout of the honor guard alongside that carpet that has been rolled out for the man who is about to emerge from the beast, the armoured limousine at the heart of the US presidency, because that man is the US President Donald Trump. A little bit of the hubbub there in Turkey, just approaching 3:30 local time. A handshake between the two. Recep Tayyip Erdogan in charge of NATO's second largest standing military. Donald Trump in charge of the world's largest military in terms of expenditure, $1.5 trillion US, and about to play the national anthems, of course, of the United States and I should imagine of Turkey too. The salute there from the president stood to the left-hand side of the screen. He is arriving in this summit amid a tense atmosphere between the 32 member states of the NATO alliance. There is a transatlantic split between the United States and Europe. Europe and Canada grouped together in its pressure pot that it now faces following the US president saying that the alliance partners must spend more on their collective defence. And they will say that they have done so. Since 2014, Canada and the European nations have spent an additional £504 billion a year every year on their defence. And amidst the conversations today will, of course, be the situation in Iran, in the Strait of Hormuz, across the Middle East and in Ukraine. Speaking earlier, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated his call for his country to become a member state of Ukraine. He said it makes sense for Ukraine's abilities to be part of the NATO alliance. It was only natural for it to be part of that common security community, and it would bring extraordinary defensive capabilities if it did so. Volodymyr Zelensky is saying that no other country has the capability to defend against drones in the same scale that his country does. He also thanked partner nations across Europe and also the United States for their efforts and their support in countering the ballistic and cruise missile threat that has wrought widespread devastation on his country in recent weeks. Russia increasingly using missiles to target civilian infrastructure across the Ukrainian nation. We saw in Kiev last week one 9-story building completely destroyed as a result of their strikes. Scores of civilians have been killed in those attacks. So there will be pressure for air defences to be on the agenda throughout the course of the next couple of days. We can also tell you that Sir Keir Starmer has landed in the past few moments in Ankara. He is attending the NATO summit, his final summit as UK Prime Minister, and he arrives with that defence investment plan. Military chiefs and analysts have called for an additional £28 million worth of investment into the UK defences and armed forces. Ultimately, £15 billion was found, although the devil is in the detail. And the criticism of Sir Keir is that £5 billion of that defence investment plan is unfunded. How will he sell that to his NATO allies? How will he sell that to President Trump? President Trump has often said that he respects and likes and admires Sir Keir as a man, but disagrees with his policies and politics, notably his stance on offshore wind and oil and gas and also on migration. But will he also take issue with the UK's commitment to defence spending? Time will tell. Worth noting, of course, that when it comes to defence spending, the United States in NATO leads the charge. It then follows on with Germany, the next biggest cash spender, and the United Kingdom, the next biggest cash spender as well. But there is a real push, spearheaded by the NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte and by Donald Trump, for countries to commit 3.5% of their GDP onto defence as swiftly as possible. Watching these developments is our defence and security editor, Deborah Haynes. Deborah, what should we look out for in the coming hours?
Hi there. Hi. Sorry, I'm just getting ready for various arrivals. We're at the this Defence Industry Forum, which is taking place as leaders arrive in Ankara. It's just down the road from the main summit venue, and there have been announcements all through the day from NATO and other allies about billions, tens of billions of dollars or pounds worth of contracts on new military equipment. It's all part of this push by Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary-General, to give this strong message of unity and of strength and of the fact that allies are stepping up and putting their money where their mouth is and investing more in defence. All as Donald Trump is obviously, as you've just been saying, about to be meeting with other heads of state and heads of government. It was last year at the NATO summit in The Hague where all allies agreed to spend up to 5% on defence and wider security issues by 2035. Since then, there have been lots of announcements by different allies about what they're exactly doing and how quickly they're going towards that target. But the NATO Secretary-General has said that he really wants to have clear, concrete, credible plans for how allies are going to be boosting their expenditure. And one ally that is going to be in particular focus is the UK, given that it presents itself and has always been a leading member of the NATO alliance. It's a nuclear power, and yet... Sorry, I'm just waiting for someone to arrive, and if they do arrive, I'll let you know. Oh, yes, I think it's our Defence Secretary is arriving. He is obviously going to be preparing, I imagine, for a maybe frosty reception from allies. So they are obviously very, very respectful. I'm going to try and I'll shout a question to him. I imagine I'll be stiffly ignored, but you never know. I'll give it a go. Dan Jarvis, Sky News, we're doing a live as you're arriving. Are you preparing for a frosty reception from allies because you haven't spent enough on defence? They probably won't thank me for doing that, but there you go, that's Dan Jarvis. He's about to speak at a panel session here. But we've been speaking to, well, I've been speaking to officials from other European countries, and they do tell me that there is a sense of disappointment about the UK and its spending plans so far. Keir Starmer's going to be here later. He'll be speaking and having dinner with allies as well. And I'm sure everyone will be very polite to him. He has made defence one of the areas that he has pointed to as successful during his premiership. But those of us who cover defence don't really understand how he can say that properly, given that there's been a lot of strong rhetoric, but so far not much in the way of meaningful, credible action when it comes to genuinely ramping up defence spending, even that defence investment plan that was finally, belatedly released last week.
These are the latest images from Ankara. To the right of the screen there, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, the Turkish president. To the left, the American President Donald Trump, shaking hands as they meet for this two-day NATO summit, a key meeting of the alliance, set against the backdrop of the situation in Iran and the Middle East and the Strait of Hormuz, and also against the continued war in Ukraine and the further conversations around defence spending. Let's take a listen to what's being said.
Güçlü olduğunu bilmiyorlar. Bizim çok fazla ekipmanları var, iyi askerleri.
They're really somebody to be reckoned with, and the nice part is that because of the relationship that we have, it's all gone very well. I just want to say that I have a lot of respect for the president, and I think it's really to the benefit of both countries. We're going to be talking today about trade. We're going to be talking about other things having to do with the military, lots of different things. Probably we'll mention Iran, where we have essentially decimated their military. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And we're going to have some very good discussions. But we do a lot of trade with Turkey. We make great things and they make great things. And we've had it's had a very big impact on both of our countries. So I just want to tell you that it's an honor to be with you. And we're going to have a lot of good meetings. We're going to have good dinners, good food. We're going to have a good time, but mostly we're going to have a lot of work, and we're going to do good things for our countries. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım, havama kadar geldiniz. Çok teşekkür ederiz o yüzden. Çok uzun süren bir dostluğumuz var.
Questions being asked. Let's just see what the next answer is. Let's just bear with this live feed from Turkey for a few further minutes. Reaction from President Trump thanking his host. Obviously, Erdogan, the leader of a country that sits so strategically between the European and Asian continents, straddling the Bosphorus as well, keeping the control of the route into the Black Sea. Let's see what is said. A little pan there to Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, amongst the dignitaries that have joined President Trump. President Trump often speaks off cuff. Let's take a listen.
We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal. So, yeah, it's something certainly we would consider. It's a great plane. It's the best, currently the best plane by far. And it's certainly something we will consider, yeah. Yes, Daniel, please. You never know why a relationship is special. Some people you get along with, and some people you don't. Sometimes you get along with the toughest people, like him, and sometimes you don't get along with the weakest, most pathetic people. You just don't get along. Maybe you don't respect them, but from the day we met, we got along. We had a pastor, as I remember, his name was Pastor Brunson, and it was a very big thing, and it was very traumatic. He was sentenced to a long-term prison sentence, and I felt he was innocent, and I called. Other people called. They got nowhere. I called the president, and he released him immediately. It was something that the evangelical community will never forget, and because he was a good man, Pastor Brunson. So, just things like that, we just it's always worked out. And I think it's been from the very beginning, from the first moment. I said it before, it's a chemistry that works between us. There are those that I don't have a good chemistry with, I will tell you that. And we work that out too.
Mr. President, are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely to announce further troop drawdowns in Europe?
Say it?
Are further troop drawdowns in Europe likely? And are you satisfied with the progress that NATO allies have made?
Well, we're going to see. I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I felt I had to attend because of the fact that, I know he's gone all out. It was a big thing to have NATO come to Turkey or any place else. It's a big thing. But we weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. But before I asked, they said they wouldn't be there. And we've invested trillions of dollars in NATO. Why? To protect European countries and others, Canada, etc., but to protect people, countries from, generally speaking, it used to be the Soviet Union, now it's Russia. And I say that's fine, but you would think that they'd be very willing to do something to help us, and they really weren't. In the case of the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister, I guess he's no longer there, maybe because of this. It was a very unpopular thing he did. He said, no, we'll help after the war is over. I said, I don't need that kind of help. We didn't need any help at all. And in a way, I was testing people. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we help them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. And Italy turned us down, and Germany turned us down, and France turned us down. And it's okay. But, why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.